meeting. It'll only be the council, the mayor, invited attorneys, and the municipal clerk. Can I have a motion, please, to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Who seconded?
I did. William.
I thought we were going to speak with the auditor first before we went into closed session.
We're inviting, yes, that is correct.
Are we doing that in closed session, or are we doing
We
it?
can't do that in closed session. That has to be an open session.
Please.
Can we have Steve Wilcox answer questions regarding the budget before we go into closed?
I'm sorry, you broke up. Could you repeat that?
Can we have Mr. Wilcox answer questions regarding the budget before we go into closed session, because he has another meeting at 8 p.m.
Sure, that's fine. Thank you, Mr. Wilcox, for joining us. I promise to not ask you for the 20th time to explain emergency, but I still don't buy it. I know it's a big number, and that's probably part of the reason I don't buy it. So I view the budget unnecessarily increasing because we have a plethora, cornucopia, and surplus of attorneys all working on one case, and they haven't won a motion in 2 years. And that includes Wunsch, Serenian, Troutner, Marinello. So if this council can just find its way to put its thinking cap on and be prudent, you would cut 2 of those attorneys, or at least, well, you actually cut 3 of them out of the affordable housing and just leave Troutner in place for now. So that's my only comment. And by the way, the money you're wasting there is enough to hire additional police officers that I know, or at least I believe this council wants to do. I know the chief certainly does. I'm not sure about the borough administrator, but I believe she's good with that also. So I object to the budget insofar as you are basically, hold on, we'll get a little feedback here. So I object to the budget because you basically have 4 attorneys doing the job of 1. Moreover, and just to highlight the absurdity of it all, on May 7th, Al Wunsch set a Guinness Book of World Records time entries for an attorney. Now, I've been practicing attorney since 1990. That's 30 years this year. Al Wunsch had 49 time entries on May 7th. This, folks, is a world record, I assure you, for 16.1 hours. On May 8th, he had 38 time entries for 16.2 hours. So you're just throwing money away because there's no reason to have someone billing at that advanced rate of billing when there's 3 other lawyers looking at the same thing. So use your heads, cut the budget, cut these attorneys out of the budget. They're wasting your money. Again, May 7th, Al Wunsch had 49 time entries for 16.1 hours. On May 8th, he had 38 time entries for 16.2 hours. It's outrageous. There were actually not enough hours in the day to do that timesheet that day if you actually had to like keep writing those time entries in and doing the work that you claim you did, which is a whole nother issue. So I don't approve this budget.
Are you done, Mario?
I am.
Okay, thank you.
But let me ask you a question since you asked me if I'm done.
I would like
Are
to
you
ask
okay
a
with the
question
May
of the
7th and
auditor.
May 8th time entries for Al Wunsch?
I'm actually asking a question of the auditor because we're here to discuss the budget.
I'm discussing the budget.
How much is in this budget for legal fees for 2020?
There's $750,000 in for the regular legal line item and $1,335,000 for COA, which are the same amounts that were in the 2018 budget.
Okay, well, it's become obvious to anybody who's following the courts and the decisions of Judge Farrington that we have a long haul ahead of us. So if Mario would like this town to continue to pursue our appeals, we have to have at least that in our budget, if not more. Anybody is able Anybody is able to view the invoices. Mr. Wunsch is part of the team that's dealing with the affordable housing right now. He's also dealing with looking at different avenues of possibly trying to solve our issues with affordable housing. Whether you agree or not, Mario, he's part of the team, and he's an intricate part of the team.
Let me ask you a question then.
I disagree
You're
with
mixing
you.
issues. Yeah, you're
I
mixing
disagree
issues
with you.
because, hold on, you're mixing issues.
No, I'm not mixing
I
it.
want to keep fighting because the judge doesn't know how to fight law. Or facts. But here's the thing. At once is not adding value. There are about 80 time entries of point 1 and point 2 just opening emails. He's not writing anything. He's not drafting anything. He's not editing anything. What he's doing is fooling all of you to think that he's actually adding value. That there's no person, no attorney in the world that will submit timesheets on May 7th, 42 time entries for 16 hours, for 24 hours in a day. On May 8th, he submitted 38 for 16.2 hours. Again, there's 24 hours in a day. It is impossible for an attorney who's kind of like in the background on this litigation, right? Carrying the water for Troutner and Serenian to possibly bill all that.
So are you accusing him of fraud, Mario? I'm confused. What are you accusing him of?
I think that's the next step. We need to look into those bills, and if there is fraud, we deal with it. But right now, I don't have the backup. I've asked the clerk to provide the backup for what he's actually done.
Yes, you asked me today.
Right, and she's going to get that for me. And if there are things that we need to allege, we will. At least my side will. Ed, I know you won't because you're not brave enough to do the right thing ever. But
Mario,
you have a budget that is out of control.
Just stop it.
You have a budget that's out of control. So look, it's up to you as counsel if you want to approve it or not. I would not approve it.
Mario, we have a mayor that's out of control. That's what we have.
No, you have a mayor that actually reads and asks questions.
We have a mayor who's out of control. You have council people who actually read the court dockets and listen to what the judge is saying. We're not saying we necessarily agree that we're being treated fairly, but we have the attorneys that you hired back in 2007.
No, that you control and you corrupted. You completely corrupted these people.
Let me get your towel again, Mario. I see the tears coming out again.
No, there's no tears.
There's tears.
Again, one of you scholars on this phone call, please defend May 7th, 49 time entries. May 8th, 38 time entries. I'll listen to you. Defend it. Go ahead.
Mario, I'm asking you once again, are you accusing the gentleman of fraud? Because that's what it sounds like.
Right. I'm not going to say I accuse him of fraud. I am going to say, though, that I will investigate.
Okay.
This and everything else that
you could do that. But don't accuse him.
And then if there is fraud, then there's a problem.
And the public is able to get access to those invoices also, so.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Yes, they are. They'll be redacted, but yes, they are.
Oh, that's it. They'll be redacted. Thank you very much.
They should be redacted. We're in the middle of litigation. Evidently, we have a hard time dealing with it.
As is.
Well, listen, just saying, open an email for 10 hours. You people should feel insulted. This is what you do. And next step is your budget.
Okay, move on. We're here to ask Steve Wilcox questions about the budget. Can we deal with that first?
We just did.
Thank you. No,
you all seem okay with this.
You were the only person.
To the mayor's point, I'm going to comment as well. I'm just surprised everyone is so apathetic about the legal fees. I'm glad. I thank the clerk for putting on the extra line in the agenda to show what our monthly bills are. 100,000 this month, 70,000 plus last month. We've like to Mayor's point, we've lost time and time again in court. We haven't gotten any results. In addition to that, we get shared maybe two emails a month, right, at $100,000 as representatives of our residents. It doesn't make any sense to me. That's my comment.
Have you read the court documents, William? Do you understand why we're losing? Do you understand the whole affordable housing situation?
I've been part of this case the whole time. Yes, Debbie.
Yeah, I don't think so, Billy.
That's great. I appreciate that.
You would understand that it's going to take at least another $1.3 million to fight this in appeal. You may not like our attorneys, but no matter
We should have never been here in the first place.
absolutely.
These attorneys should have gone. They should have been
settled.
removed.
Oh, Bill, you finally said something sensible. We should never have been here in the first place. Thank you, Mario.
I said
Billy,
in
for
terms
planning
of the
board
attorneys,
success.
we shouldn't have been here
Excellent
because
job.
the attorneys
Excellent
should have been
job.
let go a long time ago. Stop
I
taking
gotta tell you, that is
Stop
the
taking half
best
the
job.
sentence, Ed. Just stop.
Absolutely right.
No.
Absolutely right.
So
We
let me
should have settled back in
respond to
July,
that.
but
Hold
you
on a second.
lied to our residents and led them to believe they had a chance. Exactly what happened is exactly what the attorney said would happen.
We
And
had a
that's
great
why we
chance
are
until
where
you
we
got
are.
elected and decided that you were going to not do the plan that we had approved with the court, okay? And then when you went to trial, another Guinness Book of World Records set by this council was that there were only 2 fact witnesses called by the borough. So this judge, who doesn't pay attention.
Mayor, I have to interrupt because you're not, Mayor, I have to interrupt because you're not telling the truth once again. The plan was never approved by the court. Never.
The court let us
It was
use the
never
public
approved,
funds to do
Mario.
our plan, okay? The court actually let us use those funds for that purpose.
No, they let us use the funds to buy that one property, but
not to put more than 2 witnesses on trial for our side. You had 2 experts, but you never had Russ Perino, Carol McMorrow, myself. We all worked on that plan with Serenian and all the other people. So, Gloria, you've been on council for 9 years and you barely show up to do anything.
Mario, you've been the mayor for how many years now? Let's talk about the legal fees before you became the mayor and since you became the mayor, okay? Let's talk about that.
You started suing me for everything and I prevailed and I've cleaned it up.
What do you mean? Like you haven't done anything positive for the town. You costed the town so much money.
Not true.
We are the laughing stock of the Bergen County.
Really?
Okay?
Of the Bergen County? Are you not in Bergen County anymore?
No, you made us be that way.
Well,
okay, so let's talk about that.
Views, but I like to look
what?
at people's faces when they're arguing with me, and you don't do that, do you? Because you hide behind the screen.
Don't change the subject, Mario. Continue with the conversation.
Same with you, Ed. You're hiding behind a black box.
What do you mean? I'm not hiding behind anything.
Right, get the towel out.
Affordable housing has been around since 1976. This borough did nothing until I became mayor. I created a plan to satisfy
Absolutely not true.
you guys flushed our plan, okay?
Mario, what you just said is the biggest joke. Okay, let's go back to the budget.
Well, the fact that you never have any facts or substance, Gloria, makes you the joke here, but I'm not going to get into that.
Mario, let's just go back to the budget. This is just a waste.
Right, so you heard what I said. I don't support the budget. It's outrageous that you're willing to pay people like Wunsch and not hire police officers. Anybody else have any comments on it?
We are hiring police officers.
Don't change the narrative, Mario. You didn't hire a cop in 4 years. We hired 2.
So don't believe we're not hiring new officers. We are.
You also gave Mike Chaffee $700,000 going away gift.
Oh, please. Boo-hoo. Keep crying. Let's go on.
Crying.
Let's go on.
Informing the public.
Get your towel, Mario. Get your towel.
Because when you campaign, you don't tell them what you're going to do or what people are going to tell you to do. And you do it.
And you lie to them.
No, I absolutely didn't lie.
You lied to them.
I always fought for this town.
You're a liar.
My name and you'll see I've always taken the right position.
Never.
On everything.
Never.
On everything.
Let's
go. It may not be the politically expedient position that you
Mario, you're playing politics. Can we please deal with the budget?
The budget. You're wasting money. You're wasting money.
No, you've wasted this town's
You're looking for a 14% increase.
Planning board.
That's crazy.
We're here because of you and your planning board. Now let's move on.
You controlled this town for the last 2.5 years, year and a half. Okay.
Who controls this town?
You've been the mayor. You've been the mayor of this town for the last how many years, Mario?
I don't control the town. You control.
Oh yeah, now you don't control the town, but you act as if you're the king.
When I control council, we actually had a tax cut. Okay, we had the first tax cut. And
okay, Mario. Yeah, wait.
Okay?
Let's
Did you forget about that, Ed?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, you forgot about that.
You're bogus
to taxpayers. That's why, and you manipulated the
When I
fund.
get control of the council again, we will have another tax cut.
You played games.
Yeah.
You played games, and that's what you do. You play games. Let's move on. Anybody else?
Does anybody else
Do you have any
Steve
questions?
Wilcox? Steve Wilcox, do you have anything to tell us?
I I think I said everything at the last meeting.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen 49 time entries in one day from an attorney? I know you've been around for a while.
Come on, that is not his job. Just stop it.
I know you haven't. No one has.
And getting back to your question, the $900,000 emergency last year was for legal fees, because while the budget in 2019, we tried to project, Chris tried to project what the fees would be with the trial and with all that went on. We needed an extra $900,000. So last year in 2019, you spent about $3 million on legal fees. And that $900,000 has to be raised this year in the budget. That's a big part of the tax increase. It's pretty much half.
Steve, can you talk a little bit to the LG assessment and the fact that that's not on this year's tax?
Yeah, I mean, and I tried, because I had a conversation with the state about LG and about the fact that, unfortunately, for some reason, it didn't get on the books for 2020. It'll be an added assessment for 2020, but unfortunately, that doesn't happen till October. They're going to, I believe the assessment, the new assessor is putting on is about $135 million. The prorated assessment will be a little over $101 million for this year, and you will collect presumably about $1.1 million in added taxes for 2020. Unfortunately, the state's position is that there is no ability to anticipate that in the budget as revenue, because it wasn't on as part of the rateable base in the beginning of 2020.
So that revenue will go into surplus, that's correct?
Right, that by all accounts, barring anything catastrophic happening between now and the end of the year, and again, we're in the middle of a virus, a pandemic, and nobody really knows what's going to happen in terms of tax collections in August and some of the other affected revenues. Theoretically, you would have, the county does get their share of that added assessment, but theoretically, you could have about $1 million in excess tax collections from that goes right to the bottom line. And again, depending on what happens with these lawsuits, at some point, we would hope that the legal budget would go back to what it used to be a number of years ago, which is a fraction of what it is now.
Thank you, Steve.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I do, Mayor. Just a question for our fellow team members here. What efforts were made? Usually we go through this process, we talk about items that can be reduced. Just the people sitting on the key committees here, whether it's public safety or the like. The $2 million increase, 14.42%. Where were the savings this year, if any? Were there any efforts made? Obviously, the legal line is the one. The mayor, myself, we have the strongest opinion on. But just want to hear from some of you folks.
Well, I think at our last workshop, we went over line by line. Billy, you were on that call. And we talked about each individual line item. Most line items have gone up, including the police budget. And we spoke about that in detail. It was the consensus of the council as a whole that we should hire additional police officers. And that's what's being done in the budget. As far as working with each individual group, myself and Lizette and whatever head of each committee work together with those department heads to cut the budget as much as we could. We spent a lot of time working on that. At the last workshop, we asked the council if they would like to have a workshop, or if they would like to, in fact, ask questions this evening and then introduce the budget. It was the consensus of the council as a whole that we would, in fact, not have another workshop, but that we would, in fact, leave that for this evening and you could ask additional questions if you had any. You were given all the material, and that's where we are with that.
Yeah, Councilwoman Sabari, I'm just going to repeat my question one more time. Just what line items, if any, were areas where, you know, we were able to make some savings so the residents, to keep our residents knowledgeable about efforts made to reduce the $2 million increase?
If I might, Mayor, answer some of that question.
Yes, please.
Just going through from 19 to 20, the salaries in the budget are going down over $380,000. Part of that's by virtue of higher earning employees retiring and being replaced by much lower earning employees. We have a significant increase in debt service because there was a $3 million tax appeal settled earlier in 19. This is the first installment of the state letting us pay that back over 7 years. And one of the other increases, a significant increase in legal in the planning board line as requested by the planning board. And I think the biggest, all the budgets, all the other expenses, all the departments are actually going down $12,500, $12,491 versus what was appropriated last year. So I can tell you that in the number of conversations I've had with Chris and with Lizette, every single line item was gone through. Nickels and dimes were cut. And the proof of the pudding is that the operating budgets of all the departments are less than they were in 2019. And the salaries are going down almost $400,000. Those are not the problems that Englewood Cliffs has. The problem you have is $3 million in legal fees, of which $900,000 carried over to this year because there wasn't enough room in the budget in the cap last year to appropriate another dollar for anything.
Okay, thank you. So I'll ask the council one last time. Would you please cut Marinello, Serenian, and Wunsch from the affordable housing litigation and save the borough some money?
That's not going to save the borough money, Mario. We have it in for $1,335,000. We spent $3 million last year. That's not going to work.
It's simple math. If you eliminate 3 very high billers and you just keep 1 out of the 4, you're going to save money.
Mario, we need our attorneys.
You don't need them. You don't need Wunsch to read emails that he's not actually adding any substantive value to. You don't need Marinello to touch affordable housing. Serenian's job is done. Anyway, he's not effective at all.
Marinello doesn't build for affordable housing.
All you need is Troutner.
Marinello doesn't build for affordable housing. That's not true. He has nothing to do with that.
He does. He's on the, I've seen him on emails. I've seen him on bills.
Very minimal. He's the borough.
No, you just said he doesn't. Now it's very minimal. Which is it, Debbie? Because I'm going to hold you to your word.
Mario, you're just playing games with words.
No.
Let's hold you to your word, Mario.
Yeah, you can hold me to my words. Get rid of 3 out of the 4 attorneys. None of them have been effective because you've managed them to the point of not being effective. Okay. So at least just keep 1 of them.
Marinello is not on affordable housing.
He's been involved. I've seen him on emails. Any email he's on, he's billing for.
He's on the emails because he's the borough attorney.
He's billing you for it.
Of course he's billing it for it.
You just said he wasn't.
He's the borough attorney.
He doesn't need, no. Let me walk you back to when things are run the right way, when we had control. When we had control, the borough attorney did not bill for affordable housing. We kept her away from it. It's an open wallet with you guys. You hire, end up doing 5 different things.
That's not true. Your borough attorney was right slab in the middle of affordable housing. She said she was on top of it. She
No,
was,
no, but once we hired special counsel, she was no longer on it.
it was too late by then.
No, no, it was
In
fine.
trouble.
We had a plan that
You were
worked.
already in trouble.
No,
She didn't do what she
We
needed to
followed
do.
Mr. Serenian's advice to a T. We did everything he said. And then you guys came in and decided that for whatever political reasons,
did
whatever
not
Lorena
come
Weinberg
in
told you guys to do, you did.
No.
Yeah.
You read the closed minutes.
He's
But
hysterical.
voting on
He's
them.
actually, you're actually delusional,
You know,
Mario.
Ed, I don't think this is funny because you're playing with our residents' money.
I
Okay?
think you're hysterical,
playing
Mario,
with
because
their
your
money.
lies are just
Future.
comical. It's
Because
comical.
someone else is telling you not to do your jobs right, and you're not
And
doing.
who's telling you not to do your job? Who told the planning board to vote no?
The planning board did
you?
the right thing.
Yeah, obviously. Obviously,
Look at
that's
the
why we're
record,
here.
Ed.
Obviously, that's why our town is
Good
being
move.
taken over by the courts. Because they did
Complete
the right
knucklehead.
Okay, Ed, so now we're going to do the name calling thing. Do you want to just get it out of your system right now, or do you want to do it over the night?
Let's go into closed session, please.
Okay.
Motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
You know, I should also
Aye.
mention that Councilman Farrow joined us. I think it was about 6:40. Did you get that? Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to be placing the public into the
Okay, so for the public, we are going into closed session, which means that we're going to discuss confidential or attorney-client privileged information. You will be placed in a waiting room and not be able to hear or participate in this closed session, which is exactly what we do when we're here in person at council chambers. We go into a side room. And everyone on the phone, same thing, right? We're going to put you on mute.